good point. And again, we have 4 dogs and 3 Labradoodles and a rescue miniature poodle. We always have 1 rescue dog, and that's another story. But we have one of the Labradoodles, the mid-size. She is totally uninterested in breakfast. Everybody else thinks breakfast is a great idea. And she says, no, not interested. And we just, and she never eats it. So, but we still put it out because she likes to growl at everybody else. But she won't eat it. And, and she's pretty smart. We'll see how long she lives. Our last rescue dog, we actually had to put down at 19. But he lived most of his life on the streets in L.A. And he came to us about 6 years ago and kind of on his last legs, but really skinny. And one of the things that's interesting, I think he actually had some good, long-term tactics because, he made it 19 years. And we really thought, well, we're just going to nurse him through his last year of life, and he lived another 6 years with us. So anyhow, so yeah, dogs are pretty smart if we'd let them do what they want to do rather than
right.
And rather than so, what do you? What do you think about all these dog treats and dog cookies and all these yummy little things, and we're pampering our pet by doing that?
So that is the perfect opportunity to ditch those high carb, totally unnecessary. They're full of dyes and preservatives. They're full of synthetics that are just unnecessary. Flavor enhancers. They literally do nothing for your dog nutritionally, and they take your dog metabolically back a step. So even Dr. Gundry, and they're super expensive. Treats are some of the most expensive food products on the market. So even, let's just say that you can only feed ultra-processed kibble because of a financial reason. Don't spend money on crappy dog treats, nothing from the supermarket. That's the opportunity to save some money and then feed your dog from the fridge. Feed fresh, whole, living, low glycemic veggies, blueberries. The only foods you can't feed dogs, no members of the onion family, no grapes or raisins, no macadamia nuts because they're high in fat and they can cause some GI upset, no chocolate. But otherwise, from your fridge, if your dog will eat celery, feed it. If your dog will eat green beans, feed it. If your dog will eat lettuce, feed it. And that's a great way to save a ton of money from expensive treats that do nothing metabolically for your dog. In fact, if anything, they create a burden, a metabolic burden for your dog. Get those treats out of the house and start using real fresh foods as treats.
I can say, Dr. Gundry, when, the first thing, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction for me when you say to me, hey, what do you think about these treats? That being because I'm a pet parent whose pet was severely injured and hurt from consuming treats. Yeah. The treat world is a very finicky, unregulated space. It was very important to us because of my dog Sam, and I had her kidneys damaged in 2008. I was feeding her those chicken jerky strips that were making waves and hitting the media in the early part and the later part of the 2000s. Everybody wanted to feed chicken jerky strips at that time, and sourcing was a huge issue because you could bring in things from foreign countries and package them into your home country where you live and say that they were made or packaged in that country. And a lot of things were coming in from China at the time. I know that still today, the FDA, with a 15-year investigation, still hasn't been able to figure out what's going on with some of these treats. But that being said, it was very important to us to put into our book a guide of some of the things that you need to look for that can be potentially very harmful to your pet that are currently put in treats. A lot of whitening products, for instance, the Environmental Working Group just posted that titanium dioxide is maybe not the greatest thing in the world that humans should be putting in their body. I know in children's food, packaged candies and so on and so forth, this whitener is used, and new research is showing that it can actually mutate DNA. Well, these whiteners, like titanium dioxide, are in almost every single pet treat.
Everything. It's in rawhides,
yes,
dental gels, veterinary prescription diets. It's in everything.
Remember, these treats are made to appeal to you, not so much your pet, because you're buying it. So if it looks delicious to you, if you buy a treat that looks like bacon, it's bacon flavored, but there's no indication of bacon in the treat. You've got to be careful and ask questions because these treat companies will work with a lot of chemical companies and use things like cadaverine and putrescine, these scent-enhanced products that when your pet smells it,
they're addictive.
they're in, right?
Addictive.
Like you could try making it yourself and not use these chemicals, and your dog will be like, "Are you crazy? Do you actually think I'm going to eat that?" But you start using flavor enhancers and scent enhancers, you're going to change your dog's mind. And reading some of these dyes and artificial flavors, so that is really important to us. You know, that we want pet parents to be aware of what they're looking at when they're looking on the back of packaging. And the power, as Dr. Karen Becker alluded to, that just pulling a blueberry out of your refrigerator. There's dog studies that show that blueberries, what they can do, the free radicals, the antioxidants can clean up the free radicals in the body. They've done multiple studies on blueberries. And we know today that blueberries are a longevity food. You talk to almost any longevity expert, and they're like on the top of the list to be adding. So what better way to pull out like a blueberry, freeze it in the refrigerator, the freezer, now you have a crunchy treat for your dog versus using something with a whole bunch of additives and fillers and colors. Or
things like sardines packed in water. Like how about some boiled eggs? Like eggs are the best treat. They're cheap. They're amazing. They're clean. There's no added dyes. There's nothing. Dogs love eggs. So there's some easy, simple things right in your fridge that can completely replace those ultra processed treats that do nothing for your dog, and they're incredibly expensive. And you end up paying to give your dog health conditions that you have to then pay your veterinarian to try and fix. So you're better off just feeding clean foods, clean treats.
One last thing that we'll add, Dr. Gundry, is there's some incredible pet parents, small farmers who have like small farms, or people at the farmers market that are actually doing some incredible things because they want to avoid these type of synthetics and dyes.
If you have a local farmers market and they're making homemade chicken jerky, or you can buy chicken breast and chop it up and you can just give cubed chicken, fantastic. So there are some amazing treats made with human grade ingredients that are single ingredient. You flip over the back and it just says rabbit meat or lamb lung or venison liver. Those are excellent single ingredient, high protein. As long as you can pronounce everything on the label, you know what it does or what it means, and you know source of origin in terms of where it came from, you're okay in feeding those treats. They're just really expensive.
Yeah.